So this week we thought we were going to just do the preview of SummerSlam and maybe recap Ring of Honor, but then on Friday, the Friday news dump of all Friday news dumps when it comes to professional wrestling happened at 3:05 p.m. Central. Vince McMahon sends out on Twitter at 77, time for me to retire. And sure enough, Vince McMahon retires as CEO and chair of WWE. And to help me break this all down, he is our good friend from Wrestling Inc., Nick Hausman. All right, Nick, is it going to be one of those things where we all remember when we saw the tweet from Vince saying that he retired?
I mean, I think so, right? I mean, it's a pretty hard day to forget, pretty hard moment in time to forget. The only reason I would think it would maybe get lost in the mental shuffle is just because we don't know how much bigger this Vince McMahon story is going to get. You know, is Vince retiring the biggest thing we're going to find out of this cycle? I mean, it's obviously a pivotal moment in professional wrestling, but it's not like Vince passed away. It's not like Vince of his own accord decided that I've done what I needed to do here. The job is done. There are no more mountains left to climb. I mean, the reason Vince is no longer there is because of some really horrible allegations. And so, like, it is definitely a big moment that will be talked about, but is it the biggest moment of all the Vince moments going on right now? That's going to be a time will tell type situation.
Yeah, and from the way it sounds, it could be just the tip of the iceberg. We've got possibly more reports coming out from the Wall Street Journal. You got the HBO Real Sports report that should be coming out soon. Now the SEC, and I'm not talking Southeastern Conference, the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Feds are investigating Vince. This is like, I don't know how to put this. Things are looking grim for the now former chair of WWE.
Oh, yeah. You don't want the feds following the money. Ask Al Capone. Al Capone did terrible, awful things. You don't want to know why they took him down? Tax evasion. So, that's the thing. It doesn't help his cause here that all these other stories are swirling around these payments, the money. People are wondering now, this money that Vince paid for these NDAs, while it benefits Vince, that $7.5 million that Vince paid for that NDA, it also benefits WWE, because if Vince didn't pay it and those women had been allowed to speak, well, it probably would have hurt WWE's standing. So that's really the first linchpin I've seen where the feds might be able to tie the money back to WWE, which is really why the heat would be on Vince. Like, if it's just Vince and Vince alone and he's fighting this battle, then I think WWE could distance themselves to keep him around. But as soon as the Vince problem becomes a corporate stockholder WWE problem, that's when I think that, Mr. Nixon, you cannot continue to be president. The 12 congressmen walk into the office type deal.
When all this came out, and we saw more press releases on Monday, it was also discovered that WWE had to revise some financial statements to account for this $14.5 million of expenses that weren't reported.
Right, and that's the NDA hush money that I'm talking
about.
Well,
and that's the thing. I mean, no, we haven't seen anything to like officially tie it, but come on, let's put two and two together. So,
and WWE, they're having to revise their books. They're having to go back and fix it now. It's like, oops, we're sorry.
And the crazy thing is, you look at the financials, WWE stock price went up. It went up like $4 yesterday.
Well, there's good reason for that. It looks like the word on Wall Street right now is that if Vince McMahon is actually removing himself from day-to-day power, I mean, this is genuine, earnest, and the more I look at it, and I'm as skeptical as anybody, it does look to me like there is a very earnest, campaign going on to distance Vince McMahon from the day-to-day WWE product. Um, if that's the case, the stock analysts are saying if Vince really is out, he's no longer going to be in a position to want to keep this company. That means that the likelihood of a WWE all-out sale has gone very, very much up because the one guy who was standing in the way of that, largely Vince McMahon, no longer there. So the stock is going up right now, not because of anything that's going on with Vince and his philandering or whatever it may be. The stock is going up right now just because investors see WWE possibly sold outright to a Comcast or a Fox or a Disney, NBC Universal. Maybe Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson himself leverages the XFL to buy WWE, just putting it out there. But if that happens, that is an instant windfall of cash for anybody who's got any money in WWE. And so people are piling in right now, trying to get the stock at a decent price, because if that sale goes through, you're going to see a lot of people make a lot of money.
All right. So then the most logical question then is, when do you think we could see WWE being sold, whether it's to Fox or Comcast or Amazon or Disney? Give me a ballpark over under when we might see this sale.
Here's my rough timeline on it. First of all, nobody's going to be talking to WWE as long as this internal investigation is going on. You don't want to buy a car unless you know all the parts are there, right? And you want to know the condition of the car. You know, if you know the car's about to go into a destruction derby, you don't buy the car and say, "I'll take care of the damages later," right? So right now, I think you've got a wait and see attitude with a lot of people waiting to see how much damage is really done with this investigation, with whatever else the Wall Street Journal is going to run, whatever Bryant Gumbel is cooking up over there with HBO, and possibly getting some woman to break her NDA. Once all of the dust is settled and cleared on that, and we have an idea of what the landscape of WWE looks like in the aftermath of that, then I think you're going to see the bidding happening. I think that the company will be sold, I say, within a year. Could be wrong, but I definitely see 2023 being a pretty prime year for WWE to be sold, just because whoever's going to want to buy WWE is going to want to buy it before TV rights negotiations kick in. So if it's NBC Universal, they don't want to have to worry about the Fox negotiation deal. Don't even let Fox in the room. They're going to want to try to make a move on it, lock this thing down. I think that goes for Disney, too, who's going to not want to maybe get into USA or Fox rights, TV rights renewals anyway. So I think it's probably a two-step, probably two-step, chain of command here, right? You're going to have waiting for the investigations to wind down on Vince, and then the bidding war, and then eventual sale. I'm going to say mid to late 2023 would be my guess.
Just looking at it from my little point of view, I'm kind of with you. I'm thinking it's probably going to be late 2023, just because we know these investigations, they could take some time. It obviously depends on how much dirt there is to dig. And so I think late 2023, I could even see it maybe push to quarter one of 2024.
Q1 2024. I'm not exactly sure when in 2024. I think it's like mid 2024 that the TV rights for Fox and USA kick back in. Don't quote me for gospel there. But that's why I say is I think late 2023 is probably a better timeline, because you don't want to wait to get to 2024. You don't want them saying, "Oh man, you guys haven't locked us down yet. Put a ring on it." We want to know that this thing's done now, so we don't have to even listen to other people.
Yeah. Talk with Nick Hausman. Follow him on Twitter at Nick_Hausman. All right, so we know the financial side. We know that it's now Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan as co-CEOs, which even that screams, okay, they're getting ready to sell. The other big part of this is that Triple H is now head of creative.
Sure.
So, and I think we saw pieces of that on Monday Night Raw. It wasn't like a huge 180, but Raw seemed to flow a little bit better. There weren't as many video packages. There weren't as many where you had the You have an entrance and then commercial and then video package one, video package two, and then we get to a match. So there wasn't as much as that. You started Raw with the brawl with Logan Paul and Miz. Give me a kind of just where do you see Triple H taking this going forward as far as a creative direction for both Raw and SmackDown?
I think we're just gonna. I hate to say, see a more progressive wrestling style, but Triple H understands the modern audience better than Vince does. I saw some things last night that for sure struck me as like I hate to say Attitude Era, because I'd say maybe more Monday Night War, because I definitely saw some Eric Bischoff influence, as much as I may not love to say that, on the product last night. I thought that some of the not crash style, but kind of the like, oh, this isn't supposed to be happening stuff they were doing before commercial, Judgment Day walking through the crowd kind of out of nowhere, no music, coming back from commercial where Theory's still in the ring and McIntyre's kind of quickly cutting him off. The stuff with, the Reigns opener there where Reigns like, I mean, how do you not think that Hunter's moving Reigns in a position to turn face after that exchange? I don't really know. It seems like Hunter may be seeing something that we're not right now. So I'm with you. I thought there was a lot of very interesting stuff there. I definitely think we're going to see more of an appreciation for the wrestling aspect of it. I think we're going to see more of that athletic style that modern fans like at the moment. And I think we're going to see. I don't want to say a full-on infusion of NXT talent, because Vince was already kind of doing a little bit of that himself. But I think you're going to see an elevation of NXT. We're going to see them represented in the Rumble. I think we're going to see them represented at Survivor Series. I think one of the big notes that came out of Fightful's report earlier today about Triple H's backstage meeting with talent was that he said he just wanted people to have fun and enjoy coming to work, right? He wants the lines of communication to be up more. I think you're going to see a much more personable, less hostile, less unpredictable hand at the wheel right now. I think you're going to see lighter, more freer product because of it. I don't know that it's going to be a complete reinvention to the wheel, and I don't think we're even really going to probably see whatever the real, true direction Triple H has, if he really fully has the stick right now, until the Monday after SummerSlam, because right now, kind of like how Tony Khan had to wrap up the loose ends with Ring of Honor, like, oh, this stuff is already kind of booked. I want to honor this. I want to make sure But as soon as I've wrapped up all the things that you guys already had going, it's the TK show. We're going to put the title on Claudio, right? So I think that the Monday after SummerSlam, after Hunter's wrapped up all of Vince's kind of loose ends, all the storylines Vince started up, then we'll start to get a better idea of exactly where Hunter wants to go. But I'm with you. I was very, very heartened by what I saw Monday night. There were little changes, but I thought they were very, very effective. And it looks like in the viewership, it was also very effective. Their second hour higher than their first hour. Number 2 on cable, on all of TV, not cable, all of broadcast TV, only behind The Bachelor. So very impressive. It was a good outing for them last night.
Yeah, and that's was something else I was going. And I'm glad you addressed that. I think it feels like leading up to SummerSlam, which is this Saturday, we're still going to see the creative direction is pretty well set. It's going to be whatever Vince drew up going into this card, if he drew up anything. But I think I totally agree with you. I think after SummerSlam, starting with that Raw next Monday night, yes, now we're going to see some changes. Let me ask you this. So WWE, for the last year or two, has been going hard towards signing college athletes, the NIL deals, that type of thing, and getting away from the independent wrestlers and getting away from wrestlers from other organizations. With Triple H at the helm, somebody pointed this out. You got Triple H at the helm of Raw and SmackDown. You got Shawn Michaels at the helm of NXT. So you got DX basically running the show now. Could you see a return to where they start looking at the indies again, where they start signing some of those guys again? Could you even see some of these cuts that were made over the last 2 years because of budget reasons all of a sudden appear back on WWE programming?
Well, it's a great question, Stu. I asked Samoa Joe at the Ring of Honor Supercard Media Scrums when he made his big debut and return. I asked him because I was at the WWE tryout SummerSlam weekend. I think it was just before the pandemic. It was like 2-ish years ago in Vegas or whatever. Hunter was there, and it was obvious that it was the first class. They had the press. It was all college athletes. And I asked him, and I think I asked Hunter. I said, Hunter, what is this a change in direction? Are you moving towards college athletes? Because it was noticeable to me there were no indie people there. And he said at the time, this was an evolution for them. They're moving forward. But I asked Joe, who was a trainer there, I said, why do you think the WWE made that move? And he told me it was because AEW came along and started scooping up all the super indie guys that WWE usually would have got for nothing and brought them into their system. But now you got Tony Khan saying, Orange Cassidy, you're a star. I'll pay you more than them, and we'll bring you in here, and we're going to pluck up those indie people. There was also the issue of the fact that you had all these old known WWE talents telling the indie guys, don't go there. If you want to get over, do it here and go negotiate with Vince. If you go over to WWE, you think Vince is going to get Orange Cassidy? Do you think Vince is going to get Danhausen? Hell no, right? Come here, build your value, maybe have a chance later. That whole dynamic, if what we're seeing right now is true, completely goes out the window. You're definitely going to see more indie talent saying, I would love to learn from Triple H and Shawn Michaels. You're going to see former WWE talent that's at AEW that says, if Vince is out and Hunter's in charge, F this place. I'm going back to WWE. That will happen with more than a couple guys. I'm sure of that. So you're just going to see an attitude change, right? The antiquated, unapproachable style and environment that Vince McMahon had created is done. And it was out of necessity that WWE had to move to these college athletes, these people that didn't know the business, that don't know what they're getting into, and Vince can mold them however he wanted to mold them, and possibly for the worst. You're going to see a change in that, no doubt about it. You'll retain some of that. College athlete stuff will always be there, but I definitely think you're going to see more of a hybrid once again.
And that's I was thinking about that. They've made kind of a wave with these NIL deals, and
Sure.
that's a huge topic in college sports right now. So their NIL deals, that will make a big deal, but I could see where we might see Ricky Shane Page maybe get a look now.
I don't know about Ricky.
Okay,
Ricky.
maybe not, but we could see some of those guys, like you said, that weren't being looked at over the last 2 years. And I get, it almost seems easier for WWE to take someone who has no background in business whatsoever and kind of go from a clean slate rather than try to untrain some of the independent wrestlers, get them out of some habits and get them into the WWE method. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next several months as far as talent. Let me ask you this. If there is one talent that was cut in the last 2 years, come back, who's that talent that needs to come back to WWE?
Well, needs to come back. I don't know about needs to come back. I definitely think I don't know about a Bryan Danielson if working with Hunter is more appealing to him. That's a name that comes to mind. Bray Wyatt, I don't know. I mean, there's that weird dynamic that him and Vince had, where people were like, he was like a father, and sometimes they just butted heads and whatever. So I don't know if Vince out of the picture makes Bray Wyatt's return to the table more interesting. I have a hunch Johnny Gargano might be announcing his return to WWE at StarCast. It seems to be a pretty heavy hint, but, maybe just reading too much between the lines. So, there's a lot. I mean, again, there's a lot of names. How does Andrade feel? Is Charlotte happier now that Triple H is around, Adam Cole, obviously. Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly. A lot of the names that Tony Khan's been able to scoop up and bring over. Hell, I mean, before CM Punk signed with AEW, he had made it clear he had talked to Hunter at WWE backstage and had, I guess, entertained a return to WWE. So does CM Punk, knowing that old man Vince is out of the room, make it more palatable for CM Punk to consider a return to WWE? Maybe. I don't know.
Who would have thunk it?
I know, man.
I mean, it's
I know.
It's a new day. You're talking about Vince bought Capital Wrestling Corporation from Vince Sr. in 1982. So he has been at the helm for 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
Sum up Vince's legacy. Obviously, by every possible measure, the most successful wrestling promoter of all time. Measure, kind of put his legacy in a sentence or two.
I think it's I think it's too soon to say. Honestly, initially I don't need to say a sentence or two. I'll just say one word: complicated. Right? And this man leaves a very, very complicated legacy. And again, the car is not even got finished in the Destruction Derby yet. Right? We don't know how battered. We don't know what the legacy of this thing is yet. Right? We don't know what shoes are still to drop. We don't know how badly tainted this man's legacy could be. We don't know if we could be looking back at moments we cherished with a different set of glasses on. We really don't know enough yet, I think, to say what Vince McMahon's legacy is. But for the time being, I will just label it, like Avril Lavigne said, complicated.
Complicated.
Before
I let you go, Nick, we mentioned SummerSlam this Saturday from Nissan Stadium, the home of the Tennessee Titans. What are you looking forward to the most out of Saturday? You got Roman and Brock, you got Uso Street Profits. What are you looking forward to the most from this card?
I've enjoyed the McAfee Corbin build. I like both of these guys. I think it's a real clear cut babyface heel dynamic with a whole lot of meat on the bone with the history between these guys. I think they're both great performers. I don't think McAfee's ever done anything that anybody said was less than exceptional. Corbin is underrated. I see him a lot as like a big boss type figure where years from now people will go back and go, man, this guy was really fun to watch every time. I wish I hadn't, been less high on the big boss man at the time.
Yeah.
But I digress. I think that's the match for me. I think that's the one that's got me most on the hook.
That sounds good. He is Nick Hausman. See all of his stuff on WrestlingInc.com. Follow him on Twitter at Nick_Hausman. Nick, always a pleasure, my friend. All the best to you. Enjoy the movies tonight, and we will talk again soon.
Thank you very much, Stu.